Hi everyone. Thank you for joining the session. I just wanted to check with all of you. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Uh,
we can hear you.
okay, thank you. We will give another 30 to another 1 minute. In the meantime, I'm just going to talk about the session expectation and what we can do. We'll just give another 1 minute for other people to also join. While I'm just going to share some session expectations with all of you. Just give me 1 second. These will be the session norms. First of all, rename yourself with your name plus your organization name, and then keep the videos on for whoever is possible and keep the mic off. You can unmute yourself whenever you're speaking, and then keep the phones on silence. And last but not the least, you can ask anytime. While I'm seeing this, I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to allow 30 seconds for all of us to rename ourselves, put the phone on silence, and turn on the video if possible. So let me also do the same myself. I just add my name. So I will also put my phone on silence. Just give me a second. We are just giving it another couple of minutes while other people are joining. Yeah. Okay. Moving on, we have 5 to 6 people right now on this in this call. I'm just going to go to the next slide. Before we get started, we are on a Thursday at the end of the day. So I just wanted to understand about a sense check about where your energy levels are. Please put it on the chat and I'll be able to, yeah, whatever you feel is the right. I'm just going to do the same for myself. Just give me a second. Okay. For me, it's 50%. It's almost the end of the week and I had quite a hectic week. Anybody else? Okay, I can see Ratana, you said it's 75%. Jyoti, 75. Okay, good. So we do have a lot of people with more energy than me. Anyone else? We do have a couple of more people as well. And yeah, for everyone, is it please, if possible, add your organization meeting. It would just help me to kind of, while I'm talking, just to identify that who are representing which organization. It's very hard to remember otherwise. Okay. Moving on, now this is the topic for the discussion for today, where we are like the main agenda for this discussion would be what happens when someone leaves the organization and how to kind of build a central knowledge hub that can be reused and used within the organization. Given this broad agenda, I just would like to understand to all the people who are on this call right now, what are your expectation out of the session, and just to understand the expectation as well as set some context about what we can kind of cover in today's session and what's not. So if you can just take some time and type on your chat that what are you expecting to get out of the session, it would be helpful. And yeah, feel free to unmute and let me know as well if you would like to say this out instead of writing. Just like all of you, I also came with some expectations from this particular session. Given that we would like to make it as a discussion rather than like a presentation, for me, I would also like to understand how all the NGOs in the call are going to are managing knowledges in their capacity, whatever they're doing and what is working, what is not working. That's what kind of I come to this call with the expectation that we all would be knowing a little bit more about each other's processes, also what has worked and what hasn't worked. So that's kind of my expectation. So I think Rathana has sent retention plan. Okay. So when you say retention plan, I'm guessing it's a knowledge retention plan, right? No worries, Rupa. Rupa, the question right now is that what are you expecting out of the session? And we have one answer saying that he would like to understand about knowledge retention plan. If you have anything that you came to this session expecting, just put it on the chat. I'm just going to give the room another 30 seconds before we kind of talk about the expectation and how this session will be conducted. Okay. Now, we during the when all of you have signed up for this session or the webinar, okay, performance. I can see someone is wants to know a little bit more about performance. Okay. Now, when all of you signed up for the session, there was a form that you all filled up, and in the form we have seen there's a variety of organization that has signed up. That means some organization are in step one and very early in their journey where they are still figuring out how to codify knowledge, how to put it in a system. Whereas some organization are either in step two, three, or four. Very few, almost none, is in step five. Even us, for example, Tech for Social Good and us, we are not in step five. We are also somewhere in between two, three, and four. So we have seen that there's a variety of organization maturity in terms of knowledge management that's there. Given that we have quite a diverse group of organization, many different level of uh, knowledge management maturity right now in many different organization, we and given that the session was always designed to for it to be a conversation, not a lecture, so this session entirely would be a conversation kind of a session where we would put up a lot of we would like to hear what is working in your organization, what is not working, what people are actually willing to document, what tool or process have you tried and what has worked and what has not worked. So it would definitely be the entire conversation would be a conversation where I will be sharing my insights as well as I would love to hear what others are doing. Just give me a thumbs up if all of you are kind of understanding and agreeing to the fact that this would be a conversation and not just one-way presentation. Give me a thumbs up, please. Uh, okay, I can see some people have, yes, given a thumbs up. I also see that Rupa has mentioned that she's expecting that how to manage knowledge of people the way that is never lost when they leave the fact we, okay, yes. Yes, Rupa. The step one and four, the writings are kind of not kind of curated as of now, but yeah, we the slide was kind of representative, saying that there is a huge gap between many different levels of organizations has registered, so there will be kind of many different type of inputs that we are going to hear. Yes. Now moving on. Now, now after knowing that the flow would be conversation and not a kind of a presentation or a one-way lecture. Yes, it has. I could hear someone unmuted. Is anybody want to add anything right now? Harsh and Saileja. No. Okay. If not, then I'm just going to move ahead. So the agenda would be first 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to share what we are doing in terms of knowledge management in Tech for Social Good, including the tools that we are using, process that we are using, and what is working and what is not working. So this would be the first 10 to 15 minutes of the call. After that, the highlight of the session would be we would open the floor and ask questions where we all can share, reflect, and learn from each other. So the first part would be over quite soon, which is 10 to 15 minutes max when I'm going to share what we are doing. Whereas the remaining of the session would be knowledge sharing between all the NGOs that are on the call. I would just, yeah. So thanks, Rupa, for opening the video. If anybody would also be able to kind of keep it as a keep their videos open, please do that, because that will make this look feels more like a conversation, not a one-way presentation. Okay. Now, what we do in Tech for Social Good, that's something that I'm going to cover for the next 10 minutes. Now, I'm the founder and CEO of Tech for Social Good, and we are doing softwares for non-profit. So we generally build software for non-profit that helps them in business automation. But right now, I'm not going to talk about the softwares that we have. I'm just going to focus on what knowledge management, what we are doing in terms of knowledge management, what type of tools and things that we're using. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and I'll just go to another screen to be able to take you all through what we have been doing. Just 1 second. Okay. Here we go. Now, first thing that we do, we have an LMS, and inside the LMS, what we have created three types of course categories, like Appo LMS, People Hub, and Appo ERP. Whenever there is an NGO who are using our People Hub applications, and within the while they're using it, there may be their admin or their users are changing, right? People are resigning or new people are joining. What we have done, we have curated this inside the knowledge management, inside the learning management system we have. So if an organization that are using People Hub, if an admin or a user of People Hub leaves the organization, what we typically do, we would come to this LMS and we will just copy this particular link. So we'll just literally click on People Hub and we'll just literally copy this LMS link and we'll send this particular link to them. Inside this particular link, they'll see three types of courses. One is for the admin. So if the admin of the People Hub software is changing, they will be taking the admin training. If the user who is using a iOS phone is changing, then they will be taking the iOS training, and the Android users will be taking this Android training. So I think as much as categorizing them inside the buckets is important, inside the buckets as well, it is very important for you to make it very specific that which training is for which users. So this is something that we have done, and this is working very well for us. That means like we now, whenever an organization is a person in an organization is leaving, we do not have to sit and train them individually. We can literally guide them to the learning management system, and the people can take the training from the learning management system before kind of approaching us for further support or queries. So that is something that we have been doing, and it has been working pretty well. This is the LMS part. Beyond the LMS, there is another thing that we have been constantly doing. All the webinars and the product related videos that we have, we've uploaded in our YouTube channel. And inside the YouTube channel, we have created a playlist in a very organized way. So if it's an Appo ERP, then there's a tutorial, literally a playlist for that. If it's a webinar, then there's a category of a playlist for that. And what we have been doing this, initially we started to just capture them. We didn't know how we will be using it. But now what we see that whenever there's a new employee that gets comes in our organization and we want to do a product training for them, we want to train them how to take a webinar or how to conduct a webinar, we literally send them this entire playlist, and their first couple of days for them is to go through the playlist, understand the product, understand the webinar flow, and then maybe do a demo recording. So whereas the LMS has been helping us to train the external partners that we have that are using our tools, the YouTube playlist that we have been creating and uploading everything that we are creating, all the knowledge about the products that we build and the webinars that we take, that has been helping us to train people internally. So these are the two things that has helped us immensely. I'm just going to pause here. There are a couple of other tools that we also use, but so far we have seen that we are using an LMS and we are using a YouTube kind of a playlist for internal trainings. Is there anybody who can relate to this, or any question or any thoughts right now that's popping up? Just feel free to share. Okay, you can also put it on the chat. There's no right way of doing. Yes.
Clearly, you talked about LMS. What is the cost?
So I will, is it okay if I just touch base on that towards the end? Because I don't want the cost to be the entire agenda for the webinar. But yeah, it's quite, I'll also send the link on the chat so that you can check the cost on our page as well, right? I'm just going to put it in the next 10 minutes, right? So you will be able to go to the page and you'll be able to see that. So I'll just put it right now, LMS. So this is the link of the LMS page, and this page has the cost and everything mentioned. So I'm not going to bore the entire audience with the costing and stuff. Yeah. So this is the courses. No, so this is the LMS and this is the YouTube playlist. Then this is how we have been using it. The other bit that has been working exceptionally well is the entire organizations folder in one place, which is OneDrive that we use. So there are organization, I have seen that in the responses that you all has given, some people are using Google Drive, some people are using OneDrive. Whatever drive you're using, just give me a second. I'm just gonna make sure that. Yeah. I'm just going to read the responses right after once I'm done with the drive wala thingy. So in terms of all the organization level resources, we use them in OneDrive. And the reason that we use them in OneDrive, I think I'm just going to come back to the screen and talk about this a little. Although our emails are in Google, but we have decided it was an intentional decision to keep the folders and everything in OneDrive, because OneDrive kind of gives you an infrastructure like where it looks like your drive, your folder in a computer. It doesn't look like an external folder, or you do not have to also go online. So we have synced our devices into the OneDrive so that we get a very folder-like infrastructure, and it feels like you're working inside your computer while all the data is being backed up. So we use OneDrive very extensively, and everything is in OneDrive. So I think there are three things that are working very well for us: is the LMS, the OneDrive setup, and last but not the least, the YouTube playlist, where we kind of upload all the calls that we do for future trainings of our internal employees itself. Now, in terms of so internal trainings हम LMS पे भी कर सकते थे, but internal trainings के लिए we didn't feel that the LMS is necessary, क्योंकि internal trainings के बाद once they go through this entire video library that we shared with them, we ask them to produce another video as a demo to kind of send them. So that video itself tells us that they have gone through the recordings or not. Whereas for external trainings in the LMS, we do not only upload a course video, we also have a quiz, so that whenever there's a new employee that are joining in any of our partner organization, they first of all go through the video and they then take a very small quiz, so that we have kind of a understanding of who has completed the training and if they have taken the quiz and all. Whereas for internal processes, we didn't needed that, so hence we are doing it pretty much all the videos and everything are in YouTube. Now just give me 1 second. Now I saw that there are a couple of questions that we use Moodle for an LMS for organize. Yes, Ibrahim, that's great. So Moodle is another LMS like Apple LMS. Now, the only thing that I have seen a lot of organizations are using Moodle in the non-profit space. And I think before Apple even was existent, Moodle was the platform that everyone was using. And I think there's a very clear distinguish between what Moodle does and what Apple LMS does. I think Moodle as a platform, it pretty much does everything what an Apple LMS will be doing. But the user interface and the ease of use is where Apple LMS will be shining than the Moodle, because it's a Moodle is, I'm not sure right now if they have made changes, but in many organizations, whoever has switched from Moodle to Apple LMS, they had always one problem, and that I have heard commonly, that it takes a lot of time and effort to upload even a course in a Moodle interface, because the interface itself is quite complex. Ibrahim, would you also kind of have the similar experience with Moodle, or Moodle is working very well for you? Just let me know.
Yeah. Hi everyone. This is Ibrahim. I work with Antarang Foundation. Our product and technology team basically uses a Moodle because we have our curriculum that the trainers and facilitator use to deliver into classroom. So these trainers and facilitators are then requested to take quizzes and tests before they get onboarded. So for that purpose, we use Moodle. Um, so far, I don't think we've ever used another LMS platform, so I don't think so. We have any like challenges or any differentiating factor apart from Moodle
Okay.
so far.
Makes sense. And I see, Rupa, you have talked about what ISDM has been using. Would you be able to give a little bit of context, if you can unmute yourself and share how you have been using it?
Okay, in case there is noise, please forgive about that. Um, so there is a LMS system which is specifically for ISDM students. So it is similar to what you have created, but our LMS is still in progress, and that is like it's divided term wise. So there are 8 terms, so it's divided term wise, and students get access to based on which term they have entered to, and inside that also all the students are divided into 10 learning groups, so they get access group wise also. The group wise assignments are assigned. So these are some of the things that happen in LMS. The ACOM that I mentioned is it's a publication platform. It's a knowledge management platform. So in ISDM there is a team that does all the research work. So
Right.
all our research products, whether it is report, case study, videos, or some assessment tools, we collaborate with SPOs, social purpose organizations. So if we create some free assessment tools for them, that is also launched there. So it has become a one place to store all our knowledge, which can be accessed by anyone at free of cost. And that particular platform combines all other sub platforms that we have created for separate teams or separate projects. So that is what ACOM is about.
That's
But it is
perfect.
not at all related to your platform. I just thought it is knowledge management platform, so I
No,
shared.
but that was really good, because I really wanted to also, we all of us are here to understand what the other organizations are using beyond what Tech for Social could offer. So do not worry about it. I really like. Again, in the next after a couple of minutes, if you would like to kind of give us a glimpse of the tool as well, we are happy to see that as well, because I think not only we would like to talk about it, seeing is also kind of makes it more kind of sticking to your mind. So we would also love to see it if you are open to kind of sharing it. Yeah, now I think the last couple of things I would say that I think I'm just going to take another 5 minutes and I'll just end where what kind of a couple of more things that we have tried and that hasn't really worked very well. So one thing is that in the Apple workspace that we have a section that's called a knowledge base where we can add like n number of articles, like we can create categories like this: product knowledge, orchestra, and these are just the two categories we have created as a sample. But yeah, you can add as many categories, and inside each of the categories you can add more knowledge articles and all of that. So this was something that we started using internally. We thought that we will use this for internal trainings and stuff like that, but this hasn't worked really well. That when I say that, I mean that anyway all the documents and all the things that product related, org related, gets uploaded into the OneDrive that we talked about. Putting it here was an additional work, and it was a duplicate work, and it would take time and effort to do that and keep it updated. So we have decided to not use a knowledge base. For us, knowledge base is kind of where all of our drives and folders are staying, which is the OneDrive. But we have seen there are two NGOs particularly who are using this knowledge base to add their SOPs. So literally they have added a thing called SOPs, and all of their SOPs that they have, that they want people to kind of have, they kind of put it there, and then all the employees have access to it. But for us personal, as an organization, this hasn't worked well for us, and we had sticking to our OneDrive. A couple of other things that has worked is that CRM is a place where we are keeping all of our data related to the leads and all the discussion that we are having. And inside finances, we have an asset kind of a portal where we keep record of all the asset that we have, and it is divided into digital and physical asset. And this has been working well for us as well. But the knowledge base particularly has not worked for us, and hence we are sticking to the OneDrive. Now, in OneDrive, although I said the OneDrive thing and how the folders and everything is managed is working very well, there's one thing that's not working, and I don't know if any other organization has felt this as well. So like you can use Google Drive, OneDrive, or any type of drive that your organization picks. The one thing that I have felt that is quite complicated and quite kind of not very transparent is that when you share with people, like if you have a Google Drive, if you have a folder, or if you have a file, you can share one by one, but how to revoke the access, how to make sure that you always know which folders are shared with anyone, that is something that you have to always go and manually check on the folders. And that is something that I think in the next couple of months, while we are working on our products, we'll try to see if there's a way that we keep using OneDrive, but the access, who has access to which folder, has a way for us to know, instead of checking it manually, if there's a page or some way for us to know that. And I think that has been a challenge for us. And I have seen that same challenge has happened when we used to use Google Drive as well. So anybody in the room that feels that Google Drive and OneDrive, although sharing is possible, but tracking what's being shared with whom and all of that has been an issue. Is there any other organization felt the same?
Can I say?
Yes, please go ahead,
So,
Rupa.
not really tracking, but sometimes what happens is that our team works in Google Drive, and there's a shared drive
Yeah,
that we work in. But what happens is people start working on their personal drive, not really
yeah,
shared drive. So
yeah,
when they work in my drive, and because we are bigger team, it's very easy for them. It's very easy for them to work and me to track. Okay, who is
yeah,
working on personal drive or shared drive. So what happens is if there is a 2-3 people's working team, they just start working in one of the folders and they just share with each other. No one knows that they are working in someone's personal drive because they have access to it. And once the person leaves who owns the drive, then all the knowledge is lost. And the people who had knowledge, who had access to, they also face some or other difficulty because the person has left. And now it comes on me ki bhai, move it, please move it to shared drive.
yeah,
And also because what they do is some external files also, which is not ISDM file, some other organization file, they also keep it there. So it becomes very difficult for me to transfer it because I only have access to my organization's Google
yeah,
Drive. So how can I access external file? So all of this comes on them. Can now move the external files, then only I'll be able to move the actual folder. Even if I have ownership, I can only move folders which are
yeah,
of ISDM, ISDM related domain. So those things are a really big challenge right now. Other than that, I have trained a lot my people. It takes a lot of time and lot of policing and monitoring. Ki bhai, please stop doing this. What they do is they work on their personal drive, then upload. Then all the changes are lost.
yeah,
Because if you want to track changes, you have to directly work in the shared drive. But those
yeah.
things are not happening. So these all things are very common and I completely understand. But I really don't know how to stop people to do that. They will keep doing.
So I have seen that. So I'm not sure if someone else has answered to that, but this is something, this is a challenge that I used to work with people, and I have seen that in that organization as well. This was a challenge, and I think there were a couple of things that I have done. Again, ये Google Drive में करना मुश्किल हो जाता है, इसीलिए I always pick for OneDrive, क्योंकि वो folder वाला view देता है ना आपको. So that way what happens na, so what we, I think, people, when they use their personal drive or they put their things personally, maybe that is, I think it is a behavioral issue, and maybe that is coming from the habit of they having to kind of create it in their folder and in their laptop. So we kind of created a folder in their desktop itself, where all of their desktop folders will be synced to their online versions. So, and that we were able to figure that out in OneDrive, where like we can literally make their desktop sync to the online account. So whenever they're leaving, so there was one thing that an IT will do. First of all, there are two things that we have done. So सबके जो laptop का desktop है, the desktop is synced to the online account of that person, which is Piali at the rate of Tech for Social Good से मेरा desktop completely synced है. Now, if Piali decides to leave the organization during the handover, IT उनका account को deactivate करने से पहले they would fetch the entire folder that Piali has and then put it into a backup folder, and then it would give access to the manager to look through it and comb through it, so that if they want to take it and put some part of it as the organizational drive. So these were the some things and happening. Google Drive में ये problem होता है because Google Drive को आप desktop में sync भी करते हो तो उसका interface बिल्कुल folder like नहीं होता. Whereas in OneDrive, we have seen कि आपका literally आपके desktop folder को you can just sync and make sure that anything that you're keeping on desktop, so by habit as well, if you have a habit of creating things inside your own local laptop. आप desktop में create करते रहो कुछ भी, but it is always being synced. So that's kind of something that we have seen work. But with Google Drive, I don't even have an answer because Google Drive doesn't sync that exact same way how OneDrive does. But yeah, I'm happy for anybody else if you have seen this and if you have an answer to this. Yeah, Google Drive and how shared drive and personal drives kind of doesn't make sense after a while. If is there anybody who has felt the same, that they have the same issue, or no?
So OneDrive is an application only for like devices, or it's a web-based application?
it's a web, like गूगल के साथ गूगल अकाउंट के साथ गूगल ड्राइव आता है, वैसे ही माइक्रोसॉफ्ट अकाउंट के साथ आपका वन ड्राइव आता है. नाउ एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, जैसे कि गूगल में आपने अगर अकाउंट ले, ऑब्वियसली आपके ईमेल्स भी गूगल में होंगे, आई एम अज्यूमिंग, तो आपको उसके साथ वन ड्राइव गूगल ड्राइव आपको उसके साथ ही अटैच मिल रहा है. वैसे ही वन ड्राइव भी आपके ईमेल के साथ अटैच आता है और सेपरेटली आप ले सकते हो. लाइक it's just another storage. The only difference is that, हाँ, the only difference is that ये मुझे बस ये लैपटॉप को सिंक करने में गूगल ड्राइव में वो प्रॉब्लम होता है, क्योंकि विंडोज ने ही माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के वन ड्राइव भी बनाया है, विंडोज के ही लैपटॉप्स होते हैं, तो किसी भी लैपटॉप में वो सिंक बहुत इजीली हो जाता है. बिल्कुल फोल्डर लाइक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है. आप ऐसे कर सकते हो कि उनको लगे वो फोल्डर में अपने, देयर द ओनली सजेशन वुड बी कीप एवरीथिंग ऑन योर डेस्कटॉप. And whatever you keep in the desktop, then you do not have to worry about it. So we kind of try to see कि उनका behavior क्या है. They keep creating things on their desktop out of habit, and then we try to kind of see के, but Google Drive में definitely वो provision है, Google Drive भी sync हो जाता है, but it doesn't give the native folder like feeling. It has a different, a little bit of different user interface. That's all. But I'm sure that Google Drive maybe things can be figured out, and that's something that I can kind of talk to you offline, because there are a couple of ideas that I'm coming in mind, but I'm not going to bore the entire audience with that. Yeah, we don't have Microsoft. We have Google Workspace domain in our organization. Yeah. So Google Workspace, if you have, that will come with Google Drive, and in Google Drive, there is shared drives and all of that. But that will still come with that particular issue that लोगों के drive में क्या है, organization की drive में क्या है. So yeah, I guess that is a thing that I have seen as well in many organizations. So now moving on, I think from this drive section, I'm just going to share my screen, and I'll just so I think I already shared what has been working and what things that hasn't been working, which is specifically the knowledge management part that we created in our own thing that hasn't worked. So I think LMS, OneDrive, and YouTube has been working. What hasn't been working for us is knowledge base. That the thing that I was showing, and the OneDrive folder का access management. हम access तो दे देते हैं, but उसको there is no central way for seeing that कौन से folder का access किसको है, जिसको हमें जा जाके we have to kind of check it manually and all of that. These are the two things that I think in the next 6 months I'll try to see and work on. Now I have some questions. I think we are almost done for the first part of the session where I was about to share what is working, what we are doing. Now for the next part, I would put some questions on the screen, and I would want all of us to first think for a minute, take a minute or pause to think about it. And whoever would like to share, then share about it. And we'll have a discussion within the group. So I think related to the agenda of the call, like, or the discussion, that what happens when someone leaves and takes years of knowledge with them. Have you dealt with this in your organization? If you have, then is there something that you have done to prevent it, or is there something you have tried that didn't work? Yeah, we are just going to sit here with this question for 1 minute, and then I would love anyone to raise their hand and share if they want to share. If you also would like to put it on the chat, feel free to do that as well. And again, Piali and Rupa, we are not subject matter experts. We are just trying, we are also a participant of this webinar as much as you all are. So feel free to share anything that you have done that worked or didn't work. As much as I would also love to take some inputs from this session and see if there's anything that we can do differently. Yeah, so I'm just going to stop sharing. Yes, yes, Rupa, you can get started. And if anyone wants to go after that, please raise your hand as well. Yes.
I just feel I'm talking too much.
It's completely okay, don't worry.
So, definitely facing this issue, and tried multiple things that how the knowledge can be conserved or at least saved, but I'm not sure if we are able to, if we have still reached. So, one of the things that two things that I can talk about in brief is one thing is that we started doing knowledge cafe sessions. So, once a month we do session. Uh, Interest based session basically. So we maybe 2 years back we did a small survey and tried to understand what your expert area, even though not expert, but at least something that you can teach others. So what are the things that you can teach others? It could be professional level, it could be personal level as well. So we collected those data and we saved it somewhere, and then based on those data we started reaching out to individuals or group of people who can talk about a common who can talk on a common topic. So we organized that session maybe for 45 minutes for everyone at ISDM, and a lot of people learned from that. How much data, how much information was transferred, we don't know, but at least we all learned something. Maybe personal, sometimes professional. Like one of the topic was on stock management, stock exchange. So how stock exchange works, because one of the person was very much interested in talking about that thing. So they all learned something, and a lot of people started who has never done stock, investment in stocks. They started doing that. So one of the topic was on climate, these kind of things. Another was on this, like they were doing one of the reports, and based on that report, what was their learning. So something was work related, something was not work related, but we all learned something. Another thing that we started is we started 2 weeks of knowledge transfer process. So every person who leaves, they get 2 months of notice period. But in the last 15 days, they have to do the knowledge transfer. And for the 15 days, there is a specific stepwise process that this is what you have to do first, this is what you have to do second, and this is the person you should be transferring knowledge to. So if the person who is coming as a replacement has already joined, then you directly transfer to that person. If not, then the person who will be taking in charge until the new person is joined, you will be doing the transfer. And then that sheet is maintained very structured wise, like these are the physical things, these are the process related, and the person has to write as detailed as possible. And once the person has transferred knowledge, the person who is receiving the knowledge, they have to take, yeah, this is what I have understood, this is what I have understood. And because processes are written, links are there, so there is a assumption that maybe the person has understood well, and they won't find it that challenging. They still find it challenging because 15 days में क्या ही हो जाता है, but at least we have access to that document and we can keep coming back to, and there are others who also understand. So that way we are trying to maintain knowledge. These are the two things.
That was excellent. Pooja, I have some, Rupa, sorry, some follow-up question. The knowledge cafe or the calls that you're having, are you also documenting that, or are these just calls and call recording, or are there a way you are also kind of putting it into a document? You said something around documenting it as well.
Which one? Sorry, I did not hear
The
properly.
knowledge cafe or the
Knowledge cafe.
sharing calls that's happening. Is there any way after
Yes,
the
we
call you are
recorded the
documenting?
sessions. We recorded the sessions. We also took feedback from people that did you enjoy these sessions? Do you want to have such sessions? So these are the things that we did. So the recordings are there, and we also did one. For example, one of the session was on having pet policy in organization. So we even had a organization-wide debate later that should we do that or not. So that's how we tried to actually inhibit the practice as well once the sessions were done. Not everything is possible, but we tried doing
Yeah,
that.
that's excellent. And I also love the 2 weeks of knowledge transfer because I know that 15 days is not enough to kind of transfer everything that a person learned in their work, but at the same time, something is still better than not having anything. So it's 2 weeks is not enough, but 2 weeks at least that does some bit of knowledge transfer. Okay, that was good. Now, I think anyone else would like to kind of share any inputs or stories around how they manage the knowledge transfer when someone leaves, how they have tried to tackle that. Any other inputs from the group? If you don't have any inputs, you can just type a no. I would know that you don't have anything to share. Then if everyone gives a no, I'll just move to the next topic.
I can share a little bit about the exit process at Antarang.
Okay.
Uh, the challenge that we've faced so far is the exits not being said or informed prior, and like the negotiations that are done for the notice period. So typically we have a 30-day notice period, and managerial and above role have like a 60-day notice period. Usually what we have is like a structured Google Sheet document, plus there are a couple of shared drives that we share during the acknowledgement of resignation. I think that's the major handover and knowledge transfer that we do in the organization. Uh, Once that is completed, when the last day is nearing, we do set up a few calls with the reporting manager or the line manager to check if the relevant information and knowledge have been transferred to the respective files and folders, and that's how we like conclude the phase. Yeah, that's the process complete.
So Ibrahim, the main challenge you said is like the getting the information about someone leaving while the discussions may be still on about their end date
Y-
and all.
Yeah. So that also gives us, some space behind our head that we need X amount of time to plan this. We need, a new person to come in place of that person. How much time will they take to, take all the information? So yeah, that has been the challenge. I think so. We also have like a Google Workspace admin domain that I shared earlier. Luckily, there's an option in that admin portal to transfer all
Transfer
the
the data.
information and all the shared drive to another account. So that
Yeah,
has been like helpful for us.
yeah. Rupert, that's one of the points that I thought I will share. So there's in the admin panel, there's this option. Thank you, Ibrahim, for mentioning that. So when someone is deleting an account, you can just say that let give all the access to this particular person so that all their data kind of gets transferred to the manager's folder or something like that. Thank you, Ibrahim, for sharing that. I think now I'm just gonna, I'll just share my screen and I'll just go to a few other things that I thought we should be talking about. Now, there's also most of the team has a lot that they're managing. So when you're talking about knowledge management within the organization, have you found that it is hard for people to kind of find the time and the willingness to document stuff? And if that has been an issue, first of all, if that has come across in your work, and if that has been an issue, is there anything that you have done to prevent or kind of mitigate that has worked, or anything that you tried or would think that might help? That's the question that I have for the room now. That when someone is leaving, uh, then knowledge gets lost. But at the same time, how do you document things while they're in the organization? And how do you make it a practice while they have thousand other things that they manage on a daily basis? Maybe more priority than just documenting something. Uh, that's the question. And I would like everyone to kind of pause and think and then maybe raise hands, whoever would like to answer. I'm just going to do the same. Okay, so I think I have kind of thought a little bit. Anyone would like to go and share like what they think can happen while they're in the organization so that we kind of prevent it before even their knowledges are lost. and how do you tackle the fact that they might not even have times on a day-to-day basis, and the willingness to also document is not always there. I'm just going to call a few people's name who has not been kind of talking. Just let me know if any one of you would like to kind of add on. Jyoti, Vaishali, Shailaja, Santosh, Shashikant, and Abhijit. I think I'm just going to just check with any of you would like to share anything on this particular topic, that how can we make creating knowledge documentation a part of their work, and what to do in order to kind of make sure that they do that on a regular basis. Okay, I don't think that people are maybe they don't have inputs, or they are, yeah, still thinking. But I would like to share something that I have seen that, and I think I'm going to ask Rupa and Ibrahim as well to share if they have anything other than anything to add on top of what I say. So I think there's something that during how I have been dealing with this, like there are people who work with me and they obviously can leave and they will leave. Like people leave organizations, and it's nothing in the workspace is permanent, right? And all of that. So I think one thing that I have been following, like whenever I kind of ask someone to kind of do a work, like for example, there's a person in our team who makes the videos and all of that, right? So he's very good with making like our demo videos, the product demo videos with voiceovers and all of that, with captions and all. And that's a skill that he has perfected over the years that he has been working. Now, whenever I see when they're doing something good, I actually kind of, one of the things that, like in the daily or weekly task discussion, I kind of put it on the thing that this week that I want this document to be also shared with me, so that we can now keep it on the folder. Now, if someone were to replace you, they kind of go through the folders and the document and learn that how it's done. And they're happy to do that. And I make it part of their weekly plan or the daily goals that they have, like the daily work plan that they have. And in that particular week, they're supposed to kind of give me that particular document. And again, I would also say it is definitely a manager-driven thing. It doesn't automatically come from them. They are not like the people that are reporting to me. It's not that they are waking up and deciding, okay, this is a document that's worth capturing, and let me just create it on my own and then share it with me, and all of that. I think people who has been reporting to me, for them, I think as of now, it has always been like I have seen something good happening. So I would make this one of the weekly thing that they do for that particular week. And that then they actually do that, and I put it back onto the folders or things that we have created. So that's how I have been able to create it. And I'm not sure how this would be like a thing, like the person who doing this would be proactively doing. As of now, it hasn't been proactive in our organization. It has been things that I have requested and they will give it to me. But I make it a point to kind of notice when good things are happening and then kind of document that. But I know that there's also a virtue in also documenting what not to do. I don't think that we have been doing that as well. So yeah, I'm just going to pause here if anybody else would like to share.
Yeah, as I shared earlier, I think the mode of documentation that we use
Ibrahim,
is.
I'm not able to hear you properly. Can you just,
Hello.
yes, yes, you're audible now.
Eh, Yeah, no, I just wanted to uh say that I think in terms of documentation, we've been using, shared drives and Google Sheets by ensuring that whenever we're sharing the exit plan with the individual who's leaving the organization, everything is mentioned in detail, and there are a few non-negotiables and documentation uh, within these shared drives and Google Sheets are something that are non-negotiable in terms of offboarding in our current structure right now. So, think that's how we follow the documentation process so far. And I mean, there may be better alternatives and better ways to do this, but this is what we've been doing so far.
Makes sense. Ibrahim, thank you for sharing. Uh, uh, Rupa, is there anything that you have felt if you want to?
Um, so we like one of the biggest challenge that we found on documentation was meeting of minutes. People were not able to document it properly. So we started promoting how AIs are these days using, doing it really well
Yeah.
and making it available for everyone. And they don't have to use a separate AI or pay separately. So making it available at organization level. So now almost everyone is using it. So whether the meeting is useful or not useful, they have recording there. And if they want to refer to it, they can always go to it. That's one of the things that we did. Another thing is regarding KPIs. So because um, we are a non-profit organization, we are relying on funders, and we have to show that we have done something as evidence. But collecting evidence has always been a challenge. People do not document properly. So what we have started doing is monthly audit. And for monthly audit also, there is not one person who is asking people to collect evidence. There is a continuous reminder by other program team members who work along with me, who whenever an event happen, they have to inform them कि database collect करो. So database management is one thing that we
Yeah.
ensure it happens, and we are trying to build process in the workflow itself so that documentation automatically happens. Like for every Zoom meeting that happens, you have to have a registration process. You cannot have an open Zoom link. So through registration process, at least we know how many people showed interest. And then for the number of people who attended, you have to immediately copy paste in the database sheet and show it to your center lead or lead. So adding a approval mechanism. So it for them it is a mandatory. Okay, now I have to do because I have to show it to center lead. So just creating workflow in a way that documentation becomes little mandatory. So maybe we are able to achieve this thing around 80%. 20% is still an issue. Data is still getting lost because people may not be updating on time, or maybe people have their own issues and they forgot to do it, they got busy. There is still 20% challenge, but 80% I think we have been able to record documentation. And because we are research team, researchers have a mindset of documenting things,
Yeah.
so that is also helping a bit. um, I don't think there is anything else that we have done. The two things only: promoting in a way that appeals to them, and second is designing process in a way that falls in the workflow. That's yeah.
Makes sense. I think I also, so when we are talking about meeting minutes, I think there's one thing that I also saw that currently you see whenever you go to a call, there are many AI meeting takers that comes in. That's also kind of not doesn't kind of I know feel sits right with you because maybe 10 people, 5 people are there, but maybe there are 10 AI note takers are there. So I think so in terms of the meeting minutes, I think we kind of switched from having all the calls in Google's. Now we are doing it on Zoom. And in the Zoom, now they have this meeting kind of a thing that kinds of turns on with the Zoom, and it doesn't join as a person, but it just keeps taking your transcription. And at the end, it says that gives a very robust, if anyone has used that. So I'm actually liking what Zoom has does rather than forcing somebody inside the meeting, they kind of keep taking the transcription in another small kind of a thing. At the end, it gives you the same level of output. So yeah, we have, but yeah, when we used to use Google Calls very extensively, we have also added those meeting notes because in Google you cannot kind of do that. But now I have seen that in even in Google Calls, that Zoom thing can still pop up and can keeps taking notes to all the calls even when they're having in Google. So this is part of Google Zoom Workspace that they're trying out, where it just takes this meeting note. So I think that one thing has also been working out because literally there was a call that I had a couple of days ago, and at the end, the Zoom just popped up and said these are the two next steps that I have to do, and I was so happy. In that 1 hour discussion, there was two things that I was supposed to do, and I literally could see it taken and by the note taker, and it's just saying that these are the next steps, and I was so happy about it. So the other note takers that I have used so far, apart from the Zoom thingy that has recently I started using, they haven't worked that well for me, I guess, at least. Now Zoom is a desktop application that is installed, so it just kind of after every call it just pops up and says this is the gist and all of that. and it just makes my life very easy. At least I think,
But
yeah.
isn't that limited only to 30 minutes of free transcription and then you have to pay?
So वो वाला है when you are doing it on a yeah, so there's a paid trial. So I, because we keep doing this webinar, we have to take like a paid Zoom account, and hence I have been able to get the benefit of the full use. But yeah, you're right. But if there is a free account, then they definitely cap the users to make it like a paid thing afterwards. Yeah.
And also, I think for bigger teams, we did think that Zoom is a good idea.
Yeah.
Zoom is always a good idea, but it's very expensive, especially for bigger teams. If we do not have enough licenses or enough users, then we cannot organize multiple meetings together in with one Zoom license. So it's little at expensive side. That was also one of the
Coming at
reasons.
a cost, but at the same time, there's a couple of things that we have done. Like, for example, for one team, we can have one paid account, and then that paid account is shared across people. Like, just one team will have one or two maximum accounts, and then from that account only all the notes will be taken or something. And like, if it's a 5 to 6 people team, 5 to 6 people having one paid account, they have been able to manage. Like, even for us, for 5 people, we do not have more than one subscriptions, right? So that's there. And also, if you there is a Zoom for non-profits and all of that, we also started doing that. So there are, you can also go to NASCOM and also Tech for Social Good. We also are Zoom partners, so we can get a little bit of discount. It will not be heavily from what the retail rates are, but it will definitely be reduced than what the retail rates are. So I think, yeah, these are the couple of things that
We
we
can
have been.
explore that, but because definitely I agree there are too many note takers more than people, so that's very
Exactly.
disturbing, honestly.
And they arrive even people are arriving themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
There's a
Okay.
fun part of it. Few months back, we got a notification from AI that I will join 3 minutes late to the meeting because I'm occupied. Honestly, this is real. This is real. It's not fake.
So
Yeah.
क्यों DI भी बिजी हो जा रहा है? I thought कि वो तो फ्री रहेगा.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was funny.
Okay, so I think Shailaja has added something on the chat that Awuzu, right? Awuzu has help organizations create procedures and mapping out workflows. So would you like to kind of share to the bigger group? Like, I think by just reading this text, I'm not able to fully understand what it does, how it can help. Is it okay for you to kind of unmute and let us tell us what it actually does? I'm talking, Shailaja, I'm talking to you. Yes. I am not sure if she's in front of a laptop, she's able to hear us or not. But let us give her 30 more. Shailaja, if you're talking, you're on mute. We are not able to hear anything that you're saying. Just letting you know. Okay. So let us move on. If she's not able to come to the call, then okay. Uh, Now, this is something that I'm also kind of I have to think a lot about. Like, what is the kind of knowledge that is hardest to document and why? And then, what do we do about it? Is there so in your experience in the work that you're doing in your respective organization, what's the what hardest type of knowledge to kind of document or kind of capture? And is there anything that you have tried to in order to kind of mitigate that? I'm also taking a minute to kind of think. I do have some immediate thoughts, but I'll just pause and think. Feel free to raise your hands or enter into the chat what you feel like for this particular prompt. I do not see any hand raised, so I can kick us off and I can get started. I think in my opinion, I think the hardest type of knowledge to kind of capture would be specifically whenever there's a training component. It's one thing to have a curriculum written, it's another thing to have the delivery and how the delivery happens. Curriculum just tells you what to cover, but there's a lot of kind of nuances that the trainer knows. There's a lot of nuances that the person who has been doing it for a long time would know, things that work, that doesn't work. I think it's easier to map the curriculum, it's easier to put a document and a presentation about what to cover, but the nuances around how to go about it, the tone, the things that worked and didn't work, and all of that, the entire history for you to have it in this particular manner, that is the hardest kind. And I think even in our organization, as I said, that in the LMS and in the YouTube channels, we are putting all the recordings and stuff like that. But one thing that we haven't been able to put would be the so even after seeing the videos that are there for the demo of the platform that we're doing, for the webinars that we're doing, when we have new people and we tell them just go through them, we have seen that there's a mismatch between the energy, the kind of tone that we would like them to have versus what they're doing. So I think the energy, the tonality of anything when you're delivering a training. So for me, when you're delivering a training, it's very easy to kind of capture what to deliver, but it's hard to capture the essence of it even when you are putting it on video. Like, because for someone to actually get the essence of the tone and the approach, they have to kind of practice this for a while, and this doesn't come from any documentation. So I think that, and for me, I when I thought about it, कि कैसे इसको capture करें, for me, I thought it's not even something that you can capture. It's you can all have videos, but at the end of the day, some things will also come as part of their experiences when they keep doing things. Yeah, I think that's from my end. Anybody else has experienced that? You can just put a no if you haven't, just like Ibrahim did, that he has not experienced that this type of a challenge. The recording it has been a challenge. Yes, thank you, Rupa. So I have heard from Ibrahim, he doesn't have this challenge. Rupa also said. Jyoti, Shashikant, and Shaileja, you can just write no, I haven't, or if you haven't faced this at all, or if you have something to share, feel free to unmute. Okay. So we do not have, I think, people sharing. So then I would just go to the last part of the session that I had planned for. That would be a couple of things that I have seen in my experience, and I would love to also hear that if you guys have the same experience. Some of the things that I have seen goes wrong when organizations try to do knowledge management as a practice or do something about it. There are a couple of things which are kind of something that you should avoid, like the pitfalls of avoiding when you are trying to look into knowledge management, and I had in mind that I thought I'll be sharing. So many times what happens that you kind of create a tool or a bundle or internally create a tool and then you launch it and then assume that the problem is solved. But yeah, there's a tool, there's a process that we went through, and hence our knowledge management is there. That is definitely not the case. Knowledge management is quite nuanced than having it one time. It's a regular exercise. It's never a one-time thing. And the literally one time, if anybody is trying to do knowledge management as a one-time exercise, the system will not kind of survive, because obviously it's a regular process. It has to be kind of ingrained with the culture of the organization. So two things. First of all, making sure that whenever you do a knowledge management process, you understand that this is like a just the way it's a business as usual. It will keep going. It will as long as the organization is there. So that's one thing. Last but not the least, a tool approach. So a lot of people I have seen that उन्होंने tool तो बना लिया and they think that the tool is enough. Again, the reason that this webinar was not about any particular tool, because tool is just a way to keep the records. it's just a storage space. But rather than that, I think what actually makes knowledge management work is the behavioral aspect and the cultural aspect of it. Otherwise, no matter how fancy or how capable the tool is, knowledge management will not be sticking. So the tool centric approach is something that doesn't work, at least in the knowledge management space. And and hence we have to focus around making it a people and culture and behavioral kind of a way, not like a tool centric, that we have a tool where all the knowledges go. That would definitely not work, because the behavioral aspect of it has to be catered as well. Yeah, any thoughts on that? And yeah, if you feel the same way, I can see a thumbs up. Thank you, Ibrahim. No worries. So now I'm just I can see a couple of messages as well. That's, yeah. We use Salesforce. Okay. Jyoti, I saw that you have mentioned that you're using Salesforce. Are you using Salesforce for I just have one follow-up question. Are you using Salesforce for, like, Salesforce is a CRM, we know. So just recording the beneficiary and donors data, or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Okay. Beneficiary and
We
donor
provide
data.
free
Both of them are.
services. Yes, we provide free services
Sorry.
for beneficiary, no? So
Acha, okay. So the beneficiary
always
data is
daily we will do work order.
right. Okay, okay, fine. And Salesforce has been working really fairly well for you guys for now.
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Not
Now
issue.
last but not least, okay, thank you. I think we will get some time back, because although there was many registration, but we do not have a very large number of people on the call. So I just would like to kind of check with all of you that are still on the call, if we do follow-up sessions on say, like, on the behavioral aspect of the knowledge management, like what kind of process and behavioral and cultural changes or cultural processes can be put in place in order to make knowledge management sticky. Who all will be interested? Can you just give me a thumbs up? Because if we have people who might be interested in that, then we can have a follow-up session. If not, then we can conclude this session here itself. Okay. I do not see a lot of intakes for that, so that's okay. So I think the session was for until 5:30, but because we do not have a very huge room, and all of the people that we were talking, I think there are very few people who are also actively engaging. So I'm going to give you kind of 20 minutes back in your calendar, have some tea, enjoy the rest of the day. And yeah, we keep doing these webinars, so you will be seeing the posters and all in the groups that you're already in. Thank you.
It was nice, Piali. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rupa. Thanks, Ibrahim. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, Piali ma'am. Thank you.